outset, I would like to thank Dr. Kandana Prasad ji for giving me this opportunity to talk to you in this INQUA India 2027 platform. I'm very happy to be part of this program. And today I'm going to share some research which we have carried out over last decade on the Indian Ocean circulation, how it is looking today in contemporary world, and how it has varied with time, and how it is related to climate variabilities. This work, part of this work has been carried out with the help of Ministry of Earth Sciences, with the general support which they have given for the GeoTrust program, which was started about 10 years back. So we are really grateful to the Ministry of Earth Sciences for providing this help to do this, carrying out this work in Indian Ocean. So these results are coming partly from that. Coming back to the ocean, if you see, oceans are the integral part or very, very important component of Earth system science, which is controlling, if you talk in terms of global drivers, they are controlling the climate and climate change. And if you see the importance of ocean, they are very much important. They are very much essential in terms of supplying living and non-living resources, in terms of fishery on different minerals, and also they are very much important for, say, tourism, shipping, transportation, all those things. But what we are going to talk about, how these oceans are very much important, how they are driving our climate, the global climate, how it is becoming very, very important, and how it is going to change the shape of climate in the near future. So everybody is aware that the temperature of the globe is changing with time. On different time scale, it is changing continuously, whether you talk about million year time scale or kilo year time scale. The temperature of the globe is changing. This temperature mostly is controlled by, the solar insolation. But in addition to the solar insolation, the climatic components, these atmospheric components are also important, very much important to drive the temperature. And one of them is carbon dioxide. So if you see the billion year time, the CO2, which is coming through the degassing of the Earth, it is coming to the atmosphere and getting interacted with the rocks and causing erosion and all, and that it is going back to the ocean and going back again in interior of the Earth. So the whole cycle of the CO2, which is controlling our temperature, is controlled. This cycle is controlled on the billion year time scale. But another very important feature which control this CO2 into the atmosphere is this biological pump, which is very much important. The ocean is again very, very important here to control the CO2, both in physical as well as biological pump. So physical pump, because of because of cooling and heating of this and because of circulation, CO2 on the surface is getting absorbed and going to the deeper ocean, and it is just once it goes to the deeper ocean, it stays for thousands of years, so it is cut off from the atmosphere, and hence it is controlling CO2 budget of the atmosphere and hence the temperature. But another one which is very much important is this ocean biological pump, which is the CO2 which is in the photic zone of the ocean. The CO2 is taken up and getting converted to the carbon through the different these biological processes. Whether we are talking about the small phytoplankton, large phytoplankton, and zooplankton and all, and then part of that is going to the fishery, and then it is going back to the atmosphere. But very significant part of that is going to the deeper ocean, and again about 3 to 4 or 5% of this carbon is going to the sediment, which is getting buried, and again it is becoming part of the whole Earth system and going back to the mantle from where the CO2 has come. So this biological pump is again very, very important in controlling the CO2 and temperature. And you can just imagine its importance in terms of controlling the CO2 at temperature, that if you stop this biological pump by any means, actually the CO2 of the atmosphere will increase about, say, 600 to 800 ppm Today we are worried, even the situation, even at 400 ppm with because of CO2, 400 ppm temperature has increasing significantly and changing a lot of things in the atmosphere. So if it is going to the 800 ppm, you can imagine the consequences of that. So this is again very, very important. The third very important part of the ocean circulation, which also controls the CO2, and this is very much CO2 as well as the temperature, in the terms that as the the solar insolation is not coming uniformly on the Earth. On the equator, it comes significantly higher compared to the polar region. And so this ocean circulation, which is called the thermohaline ocean circulation, I'm coming to that in a little bit of time. So what it does, the heat which is getting accumulated in the equator region, it is getting transferred to the polar region. And polar region coldness and the nutrients and oxygen which is getting forming in terms of the deep ocean water, it is getting transported all over the globe. So the heat is getting transported through the ocean circulation. And again, it is controlling the temperature of the globe in terms of, suppose in absence of this ocean circulation, temperature of the equator will increase significantly and the polar region will become more ice covered. And actually, you can understand that because of this ocean circulation, the heat which is going to the polar region. So in this western part of the Europe, which is today you can see open and it is used for navigation. Suppose you are cutting off this ocean circulation, those portion will be filled with the ice. The ice sheet will be expanding, and hence the situation will be very, very different. So this whole ocean circulation, you can see, means, for example, formation of North Atlantic deep water. We are transferring about 17 billion liter water per second, and in terms of energy, heat, which we are talking about, 1 petawatt of energy we are 1.2 petawatt of energy we are transporting. So you can imagine how important this ocean circulation is. So since it is very, very important, it is very much important to understand how they are moving, from where they are getting formed, how it is getting distributed, how actually they are distributing the heat, how they are distributing oxygen, because deep water, once it is forming, it is taking oxygen to the deeper water. Right? And also it is redistributing the nutrients. That is very much important for productivity and all. Again, productivity means it is related to the CO2. So these ocean circulation is very important, and that's why we are trying to understand that. And if you see in the past, this ocean circulation in time, and this is very much related to the configuration of the ocean and continent plates. So that with time, because of the plate tectonics, the ocean moved from one portion to the another. We can see that once upon a time, this Indonesian seaway was open, Texan seaway was open, this Panama Gateway was open, which has been closed, and this has impacted the ocean circulation significantly, and hence the temperature of the globe has been impacted. For example, you can see the Tethyan Sea, which was there, where right now Himalaya is sitting, that was directly connected to the Atlantic and directly connected to the Pacific. So the transport of water was happening very freely there. And because it has been closed, so people think that the temperature of the globe has gone down by about 20 degrees centigrade, because this equatorial heat is not getting transported to the Antarctic portion, and hence Antarctic ice sheet has increased, and hence that global temperature has gone down. So this type of impact has been taken place significantly. To study how this ocean circulation has changed, actually, we have employed a different tracer, which I'm coming in a moment. But before that, why this ocean circulation, which we are talking about thermohaline circulation, how it is getting caused, how they are getting set. So here you can see this is the ocean surface temperature. Again, I told you, because of the solar insolation, the equatorial region is getting more heat. So you can see the equators are more heated. And if you go into the polar region, actually the temperature is going down. Particularly if you see here in the Atlantic, North Atlantic, the temperature has gone down, surface temperature by about 2 degrees, 3 degrees, 4 degrees centigrade. Similarly, in the Antarctic also it has happened. And if you see the density, surface density, which is controlled with the salinity and all, so you can see that the surface density in the Atlantic water has increased significantly, as well as along the Antarctic. So these are the two factors, the temperature and density, low temperature and high density, causing the water to sink. Because in the, say, North Atlantic, because of the formation of ice, the salt is getting injected in the ocean, and because of that, the remaining water is becoming more dense and it is sinking to the deeper water where the density in the surrounding water is becoming similar. And then actually that is forming the deep water. Similarly, same thing is happening in the along the Antarctic, but around the Antarctic, but there here the density is much more, so it is not going to the bottom water, it is forming the bottom water. Once this North Atlantic deep water is forming, it is traveling toward the equator and going to the, you see, around the Antarctica. And here is some diagram which one of our students has made, Darwin Sukla. You can see the beautiful diagram which. So here what is happening in the polar region, the North Atlantic deep water is forming because the process which I told you, and it is traveling all the way along this and coming in the around the Antarctica. It is forming the Antarctic circumpolar current, and then part of that is coming to the Indian Ocean, part is going to the Pacific, and they are actually Pacific, it is getting upwelled, and here in India also it is getting upwelled. Part of the Pacific water is coming to the Indian Ocean surface water as this Indonesian through flow, and it is becoming part of the Indian Ocean surface water, and then it is going back to the Atlantic as a surface current and going back to the North Atlantic. So whole current, this force circulation is getting formed. It is called Antarctic overturning circulation or thermohaline circulation. So this is what is happening. As I told you, it is transporting heat from equator to the polar region and oxygen in the all of the globe. So this is very, very important. Now, if you see, means there are different numbers which how much it is getting formed. So if you together, if you see the North Atlantic deep water which is forming in the North Atlantic and the Antarctic bottom water together, they are transferring about 23 billion liter water per second, and of course they are significantly impacting the heat and all those things. So now if you see, this is the whole circulation pattern. You see the different arm of Indian Ocean, Atlantic and Pacific. So I'm not going to talk more about that. I wanted to see that because you see here, this North Atlantic deep water in the forming, it is coming in as a deep water and becoming the part of the circumpolar deep water around the Antarctica. And part of that actually, because it is becoming colder and heavier, it is sinking and going as a bottom water, Antarctic bottom water, again coming back. And part of that, it will also form as intermediate water and go to the different section like Indian Ocean and all. So if you see the Indian Ocean, particularly coming back to the Indian Ocean, what are the different water masses available? Present day studies say that actually we have sub-Antarctic mode water, Antarctic intermediate water, which is about 1,000 meter, circumpolar deep water. The part of that is North Atlantic deep water, which is about 2,000 meter deep, and then Atlantic bottom water, which is coming almost 3,000, 4,000 meter water deep. And also, actually, from the north, if you see, not many water masses are forming in the Indian Ocean from north, but we have Red Sea water, Indonesian through flow, which is coming from the Pacific, and Indian deep water, which is forming after mixing all these things. So these are some of the water masses like this Indonesian through flow, which is coming from the Pacific here. You can see it is occupying significant part of the Indian Ocean, Bay of Bengal and all. And then we have Red Sea water, which is spreading Arabian Sea water, and deep water, this Antarctic bottom and North Atlantic deep water, which is filling the Indian Ocean. Now, if you see, means a study which exists in the Indian Ocean, the formation of different water masses, how they travel in the Indian Ocean is not very, very clear. So actually, till now, whatever we know that actually the circumpolar deep water, which is around the Antarctica, it is revolving. The part of that is coming as Antarctic bottom water, modified North Atlantic deep water. It's coming through this Muscarine basin and coming to the Arabian Sea. One part you see the coming from the Australian basin coming to the central Indian Ocean, and again other part is coming through the eastern Indian Ocean and reaching in this part. But actually, a lot of studies required to do that. Not many studies exist in the Indian Ocean particularly. So we have tried to study this Indian Ocean water masses which is present in the India, how it is moving moving what all those water masses are there. We have used a particular tracer. Actually, there are different tracer people are using to do this water mass, like they measure salinity, temperature, and also the different chemical composition. Also, they use like silicate, dissolved silicate, and also they use cadmium and so many other tracers they use. But you see, many of them, like the salinity and temperature, actually, if you want to go in the past, you cannot use them. And also many of these, like carbon isotope or cadmium, they are impacted by the biology. So they are also not very faithful tracer. Whereas neodymium, actually, people have started using neodymium isotopic composition, and they seem to be independent of biology, and they have the residence time in the ocean water, which is equivalent to or very similar to the whole mixing of the ocean, mixing time of the ocean, about say 500 to 1000 year. So based on that, actually now significant amount of studies is being carried out in the global ocean using neodymium isotope composition to study the water masses, and hence we have used this. A lot of study has been taken place in the Pacific as well as Atlantic, but Indian Ocean has not been studied much. So we tried to study this. If you see this neodymium isotopic composition of the seawater, is controlled by the source from where the neodymium is coming. So if you see epsilon neodymium, I explained in the earlier this slide, you can see it is defined by the sample 143 by 144 minus 143 by 144 of chondritic uniform reservoir. With respect to that, we are calculating how much is deviating from the chondritic uniform reservoir, and that has been utilized for this different source rock. And after erosion and weathering, they are coming to the ocean and determining the isotopic composition of seawater. So if you see the total variation in the global ocean, it varies from minus 45 to plus 12. So very recent one, Medioceanic ridge, you can get very positive value, whereas old rocks, it is minus negative value. I am not going to detail how it works, but here you can see the distribution. So the North Atlantic deep water, wherever it is forming, we have like Greenland, all those areas, we have isotopic composition of neodymium about minus 14, minus 13, which is after weathering, it is coming to give the North Atlantic water minus 14, minus 13, whereas if you see the around the Antarctic, the value which is we are getting is about minus 9, minus 7. That is the value we are getting in the rock, and that is getting transferred to the water. If you see the Pacific, around the Pacific, you know, the ring of fire is there, and that is very recent rock. So they are about the zero, so minus 1, minus 2, minus 3. And coming to the Indian Ocean, actually, till now people are thinking that it is mixture of Atlantic and Pacific. So you can see it is coming to the minus 9 and minus 8. So because not many study was there. And if you see the ocean circulation pattern, so till now, whatever a study has been carried out, based on that, you can see the value of the neodymium for the different water masses in the, see here, the deep water where it is forming is about minus 14. Here, if you see the another Antarctic water, which is forming Antarctic bottom water, it is about minus 8. If you go to the Pacific, it was minus 4, and Indian, as I told you, it has been considered a mixture. So it is mixture of minus 14 or minus 4, so it is about minus 9. We'll see how the current result is selling. So till now, if you see, a lot of study has been carried out, as I told you, in the Pacific and Atlantic. So Pacific, you can see it is about towards radiogenic value. So it is minus 5, 0. And this is at Atlantic, which is about minus 15, something like that. Indian Ocean, minus 9, minus 8 till now, whatever study was there, whatever available data is there. And similarly, the concentration also is in between. But if you see the Indian Ocean, when we try to study Indian Ocean, actually Indian Ocean is very unique in the sense that if you see Atlantic and Pacific, they are pole to pole. They are actually extending from one pole to another pole, whereas Indian Ocean has the low latitude land boundary. So what is happening when the deep water forming in the North Atlantic or Antarctic, that when water comes to the Indian Ocean, actually when the deeper water is moving toward the north, because of low latitude land boundary, this water is not able to go to further up, and it is becoming very slow. And that is actually causing a lot of things. Many things are changing. And because of that, you see, when the deep water is coming towards the north, it is getting sold, upwelled in the northern part, and it is becoming the intermediate water or surface water. And because of them, it is becoming very sluggish. The speed is very, very slow because it is not able to go further up. And because of that, everybody working in this oceanography, they know that the both Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal, actually, they are having intermediate low oxygen zone. The oxygen is going very, very low because supply of oxygen through the deep water is becoming slow because of the sluggish water, and also because of the monsoon climate. Particularly in the Arabian Sea, the productivity is very high because of upwelling. So once the productivity is high, the organic matter, when they are sinking, they are consuming most of the oxygen. And since deep water oxygen supply is less, so the intermediate water is becoming almost oxygen deficient. And because of that, a lot of changes is taking place in the this deep Arabian Sea. Similarly, in Bay of Bengal, when the water supply, the fresh water supply is significant from Ganga, Brahmaputra, Iradi, and Savin. Because of that, actually, the fresh water's lens is created, the low density water is created on the surface, and hence the mixing is very less. And because of that, the productivity is slightly low, but the oxygen is not getting mixed. And here again, oxygen supply from the southern sources are very low, and because of that, also here also we have low oxygen minimum zone, and that is getting aggravated in the terms of climate change because of climate change, temperature is increasing, this acidification is increasing, and hence the oxygen is further going down. I'm not going to talk about that, but yes, because of this low latitude, not on land boundary, a lot of things are happening, which I told you a little bit. And also the water which is going to the Pacific, it is coming part of that as a surface water in terms of Indonesian through flow, and that is Indonesian through flow. Part of that is coming as leaving current along the Western Australia and going to the this Atlantic, and part of that is directly coming to the Western Indian Ocean, and as Agulhaj current, it is going back to the Atlantic. And this surface current, actually, the amount is varying, and this is Indonesian through flow is responsible for the Indian Ocean dipole, which is impacting our monsoon. Again, I'm not going to in detail, but whenever we are getting more Indonesian through flow from the Pacific, the temperature of the Eastern Indian Ocean is increasing, and hence it is impacting our monsoon. It is going down, and the monsoon rainfall is decreasing. Australian monsoon means rainfall in Australia is increasing, and when Indonesian through flow supply is less, this Western Indian temperature will be more, and hence the monsoon in the Indian Ocean will be much better. So this is very, very again important in terms of how it is impacting, how it is related to means monsoon, this whole current system, whole Indonesian through flow system. So to study that, actually, we have started a huge program with the help of Ministry of Earth Sciences, the whole equipment for the clean sampling and all, because you know that these metals or neodymium, etc., in the ocean is available in picomolar, 10 to the minus 12 molar concentration. So we have to get it clean. For that purpose, with the help of MES, we have established everything in the system to make it clean. These are all Teflon coated bottles. The cable which we see, the black one is Kevlar cable. All these things have been taken care, and then we have clean van to collect all the samples. This is class 1000 clean lab where without contamination everything can be done. So then actually on board a lot of study has been taken. And because you see these are very technique intensive measurements, all this has been done. Actually, as the concentration is very, very low, we have to collect 20 liters of water, this neodymium. All those things have been done. International calibration has been done, and it has shown that our measurements are at par with all the global players. And you can see, based on all this collection and all, till now we have collected a large number of samples from the Indian Ocean. Almost up to 30 degrees south, entire Indian Ocean has been sampled in this program. So a lot of work has been done, and this particularly for the neodymium, you can see a lot of technique had to be done on inland, and you see some of the results which I'm trying to show you. This is the Bay of Bengal result. The Bay of Bengal, I was telling you before that not many studies were there, but you can see here the neodymium concentration significantly higher. It is going to 45, 15 picomolar one of the highest in the globe. Actually, earlier people are thinking that neodymium in the Indian Ocean is mixture of Pacific and Atlantic. This is no more true. It is another end member. The concentration is significantly high. And if you see in terms of isotopic composition also, you can see here the isotopic composition in the toward the Ganga Brahmaputra side. It is mouth of the river. It is going towards -16 and all. Again, it is very another end member which is not a mixture of Ganga, the Pacific and Atlantic. And you see the total composition, the concentration, significantly higher concentration, all in the Bay of Bengal, which has never been thought about. And similarly, the isotopic composition, significantly high isotopic composition everywhere. In the north, Bay of Bengal, it is much less radiogenic. And as we are going to the south, it is very well radiogenic. It is varying from -10 to -15, -16. Now, if you see, this is the concentration profile and isotopic profile. So these are the different. If you go to the south, the very radiogenic signature, and you go to the north, it is non-radiogenic signature. So we wanted to know what are the contribution from different water masses. As I told you earlier, the different water masses have very different isotopic composition. So we wanted to know how much different water masses are contributing and what those water masses are and what depth they are. So we did some, because there are different water masses, different end members. I'm not going to in detail, but we did the inverse model calculation and we calculated how much different water masses are contributing. So you can see here in the top panel, you can see the near the Ganga Brahmaputra, it is Bay of Bengal low salinity water, which is being supplied by the Ganga Brahmaputra. So almost 80% of the water is coming from that. But as you are moving away, this contribution is going down. That is obvious. But very surprising result we got that if you go to the 8 degree, 10 degree, or even up to 16 degree north in the Bay of Bengal, we are getting Indonesian through flow, which was not earlier had been assumed, because this Indonesian through flow, people are thinking it is directly going to the Western Arabian Sea and going toward the south. But here you can see here the Pacific water, which is coming through the Indonesian through flow, going almost up to 16 degree north in the Bay of Bengal. This is a unique result which has been observed. And then also you can see the Arabian Sea high salinity water is going again in the subsurface of the Bay of Bengal. It is going up to 16 degree north. And then the major component of the Bay of Bengal is filled. In the bottom water is filled by Antarctic bottom water. So again, there was a significant amount of discussion whether Antarctic bottom water is reaching in the Bay of Bengal or not. You can see here almost 90 to 60% of the bottom water is coming from Antarctic bottom water, which is, this is found around the Antarctica. So it is filled with that. In addition to that, actually, if you take all the water masses, the neodymium is not getting balanced in the Bay of Bengal, and significant of neodymium is getting produced in the Bay of Bengal in the water column itself. And you can see almost 40 to 50% of the neodymium is coming from the sediments. I'm not going to detail of this, how it is coming and all, but the process which is governing is the boundary exchange. So because Ganga Brahmaputra is getting huge amount of sediment, lot of water, the whole water column is getting huge amount of dissolved neodymium in addition to the water masses. It is coming from the sediment which is supplied by the Ganga Brahmaputra. This you have to remember, because when we are going to talk about the paleo, this is very much important because in addition to water mass, huge amount of neodymium is getting supplied from the sediment, which is altering the water mass signature. And this has been shown that all the excess neodymium which is getting supplied for the water mass is having isotopic composition about -16, -17. Similarly, if you see in the Arabian Sea, we have done the three cruise, and one is this first one is a small one, which has been 3 station was measured. Another one, you can see the significant amount of Arabian Sea has been measured, and third one recently we have done is in the going up to about 60 degree east. So these all the water masses has been estimated for the neodymium, and you can see this is the neodymium signature for the. Here you can see the difference, because there you have seen it is varying from -10 to -16. Here mostly it is -8 to -6. So very different isotopic composition in Arabian Sea, though they are having in the same latitude, but isotopic composition very different. And this is because, of course, in addition to water masses, the sediment which is coming by the Ganga Brahmaputra, they are controlling the Bay of Bengal. But here it is not the case, because Indus sediments are significantly lower, And also in the sediments are not that non-radiogenic, so they are not impacting. And also here, hello. And then another section is a beautiful section which is showing again the variation on the Bay of Bengal. And the very recent section which we have studied, actually you can see that you can see the near the southern tip, you can see this station number 3, 4, 5, 6. Isotopic emission are very much similar to the Bay of Bengal. So what is happening? Bay of Bengal, water is coming to in this section, this particular between the India and Lakshadweep section, this Lakshadweep basin. A lot of water is coming from Bay of Bengal, and in fact, these waters are also bringing a lot of sediment from the Bay of Bengal, and these sediments are making this more less radiogenic water which is in the Lakshadweep basin. And if you see the remaining Bay of Bengal, actually, if you see this entire Bay of Bengal, the entire Arabian Sea, and even Western Arabian Sea, everywhere isotopic emission are very different. The bottom is -8 and surface is -6. But in the Eastern Arabian Sea, this story is very, very different. And again, this will be reflected in our Paleoceanography. So here, if you see the different water masses which is available, so river in the Arabian Sea is very, very less, actually only 1-2%. Arabian Sea high salinity water, almost everywhere you can see here, it is 60, 70, 80, 90% in the top. Bay of Bengal, again, Bay of Bengal water in the Eastern Bay of Bengal, Arabian Sea is coming. And then Red Sea water in the water depth of about 800 meter Red Sea water, you can see Indonesian through flow, intermediate Indonesian through flow, intermediate Indonesian through flow, has been seen. But you can see here the North Atlantic deep water, which has been modified significant amount, and that is actually there is a shoaling pattern is seen, and similarly the Antarctic bottom water. So these are some of the water masses which were there. The last section we have done in the Eastern Indian Ocean, and there you can see again the huge inflow of Indonesian through flow. You can see in the surface as well intermediate water. So a little bit of deeper water which is coming from Pacific around the Australia, that is also seen. And this is very much identifying the Pacific water which is coming to the Indian Ocean in this part of the ocean. And here also you can see the modified North Atlantic water, which is from when we go from south to north in the Bay of Bengal, it is shoaling, it is getting upward, the North Atlantic deep water as well as the Antarctic bottom water. And presence of intermediate water is there. So these are the, in the nutshell, I told you what is the different water masses present in the Indian Ocean and in different part. In addition to the water masses, it is also neodymium is also getting controlled by the supply from the river. But actually now, suppose we want to go into the past, the neodymium can be utilized to see how the water masses has changed in the past. For that purpose, actually, there are different archives. So one of them are iron manganese crust, which is present, or the coating which is there on the sediment. So they, when iron manganese hydroxide is getting precipitated on the sediment, they take along with them rare earth metal, the rare earth element, and neodymium will be part of that. So whatever there in the water, actually it will be precipitated along with the iron manganese hydroxide. So if we are able to leach those iron manganese hydroxide, it will give you the deep water composition. You can always get the neodymium isotopic composition from the fish tooth or the corals or the forams and the sediments. So these sediments which is getting deposited in the ocean, we collect them and then take it, different fraction we take, and depending on what exactly we want, suppose we want the surface neodymium, the surface water we want to study, we have to take the surface dwelling foraminifera, and that will also have rare earth or neodymium, which is taken from the surface water. Whereas if we want to study the deep water, some deep coral is also helpful, which is very neat proxy. And I mean the last one is this iron manganese hydroxide, which is means when the sediment is getting deposited in near the water sediment interface, there it is getting deposited along with that deep water neodymium, which is having signature of the Antarctic bottom water, North Atlantic deep water, depending on where it is depositing. So that will have the signature. So we collect the sediments and we date them and go back in time. So we have collected several sediments, in fact. Sorry. you can see here, we collected a lot of sediments. We have collected some to do the million year time scale, which I'm not going to talk about, DSDP 237, ODP 731, and IODP 535, and IODP this 1430 something. So these are for the million year time scale. I'm not going to talk about, but for the quaternary period, the kilo year time scale, we have collected several samples in this area, and we have tried to do the neodymium isotopic composition in the orthogenic passage, which will be giving the water mass signature. So we have collected like SST, GC02, GC03, SK177, and then here we have SK17, GC10, GC2. Several core we have done, and many of them are actually Lakshadweep basin. Some of them outside that, and some of them are within that. So I will be showing some of the result here. So these are the procedure. I'm not going to discuss these results, but you can see here one core which we have taken GC2 and GC10. This area, this is exactly in the Lakshadweep basin. You remember, this is the area where I have shown you that Bay of Bengal water and sediment is coming, and they have changed the water mass signature. So here, actually, we tried to study this sediment in the hope that we will be able to get the water mass signature. This is the location of the core. This is the Lakshadweep Ridge. This is Indian. You can see the Lakshadweep basin. It is like a lake, which is surrounded by this side India, and this is the Lakshadweep Ridge. So here the water, whenever the water is going in this area, it is getting stuck there. The resistance of the water is significantly higher. And in addition, we have this Bay of Arabian Sea, this three water section we have studied, which we will compare the surface sediment to see whether they are recording the water mass signature. So this is the GC02 core, and we have compared the GC2 core with SK225. 22105, which Rahman group has done, and this is the Petrovsky group has done, and you can see how these are changing. So here you can see the water mass which is going. So as I told you, the deep water which is coming from the Australian basin is going to the Central Indian Ocean, and part of that it is going to the this Lakshadweep basin. And here we tried to collect the sediment. The water depth was about say 2,500. This is the core. And this is our 803 station water. So our water signature was, the bottom water was about say -10, and this is significant, very much agreeing. This surface sediment of this core is very much agreeing to this water mass signature, and it is showing that it is reflecting the water mass. Whatever water neodymium isotopic composition is there, it is showing that. So this is the whole isotopic composition you can see of this core, and you can see it is varying significantly. And it is varying from -8 to -14, -15, significantly lower compared to what different water masses shows. And this has been compared with the silicate phase of the sediment in that area. And you can see that the variation which we have seen with the different climatic zone or climatic events, both water neodymium and silicate neodymium is almost going one hand in hand. Of course, a little bit means the difference is there because water mass signature is less heterogeneous. So what is happening here, the significant amount of neodymium from the sediment is getting transferred to the water, and hence the water is not only water mass, it is water mass plus whatever is coming from sediment. So it is not really giving the true water mass signature. Or to get the true water mass signature, we have to remove the sediment part, and hence I'm not going to discuss in detail here. Similarly, if you see the GC10 core, again a little bit away from this Lakshadweep basin, but still it is getting water mass from this area, and you can see the GC10 signature again. It is the top sediment is giving the water mass signature, so there is no problem. But here again, you can see the water mass, the neodymium isotopic composition of the orthogenic phase. The water mass is changing significantly. And particularly if you compare with the different sediment core, which is in the Southern Ocean as well as in the North Atlantic, you can see here we have plotted. So if you see before almost 28 kilo year and about after 12 kilo year, the isotopic signature of the GC10 is matching, but particularly during the LGM, isotopic composition of the GC10 is significantly different than the global value. and or the water mass value. And again, here also, I think it is getting controlled by the amount of sediment coming from Bay of Bengal to the Lakshadweep basin. I think because during the glacial period, northeast monsoon was significantly strong, and so the water was getting transferred from the Bay of Bengal to the Arabian Sea, and hence this portion, particularly Lakshadweep basin, is getting huge amount of material from the Bay of Bengal, and the whole water mass signature has been altered, and particularly it has been altered during LGM when northeast monsoon was strong. So here means in the Holocene and prior to 28 kilo year, I think it is giving the water mass signature, which is a North Atlantic deep water and Antarctic bottom water dominated by them. But during the means this LGM period, it is significantly controlled by the sediment supply. And that is also very much means, luckily, this sedimentation rate of this area is very, very high. So we got very high resolution record, and you can see very systematic study. So this is a high frequency variation is also taking place. So this has to be, again, go in detail whether it is because of water mass or it is because of the sediment, because the signature is going up to -11 or -10. So both the component could be there, but it is very much means sure that the high resolution, high frequencies climatic signature are seen here, and that is either could be the water mass signature or the sediment signature, but both of them are getting impacted by this high frequency signature. And this is good, means very important to study, because you see means if something is happening at the north, this high frequency climatic signature which is changing in the North Atlantic area, that is getting transferred to this Arabian Sea, means within kilo-year time scale. If it is water mass signature, significantly it is coming from the through the water. That signal is getting transferred through the water. But if it is sediment, it can also happen that the atmospheric teleconnection is controlling the climatic signature in the Arabian Sea. And because of the climate, it is through the teleconnection, through the atmospheric connection, the monsoon can change, sediment contribution can change, and hence this significant change can take place. So that those two things have to be looked into detail. The third core, which we have taken this between the India and Sri Lanka, this is again very much impacted by the sediment signature. So I can tell you, whole Lakshadweep basin between the Sri Lanka and Lakshadweep reach, this is not a good place to study the nudiment signature for the water masses. And this is also reflected by earlier study which we have carried out in the Bangalore, and one is has been again carried out in this portion. You can see here this Bangalore core is identifying the water mass signature very, very nicely, which is very much similar to the Petrovsky et al., which is or Rahman et al. They are significantly matter, because you can see in the prior to Holocene, the water mass signature is about -7, and Holocene it is about -9 or something like that, which is reflecting that during the colder period, Antarctic, about North Atlantic deep water has gone down, and here means again it has increasing. So this is signature of Atlantic deep Antarctic bottom water is increasing, and here in the North Atlantic deep water is increasing, which is coming to this Mangalore area. But you can see the another core SS3101G here. This core, actually you can see the nudimium signature is again very much impacted by the this sediment, and this is again coming from so. And the last core which you have studied, this core is significantly studied by Professor A.D. Singh. Earlier, they have done a lot of work in this area, this soap, and so many other things they have done. So this core we have studied. This is water depth is about 840 meter, and here you can see the means it is of Goa, and it is very much away from this Andaman. See this Lakshadweep basin, very much away from that, and see what is happening here. The water mass you can see it's coming from particularly from the Mascaran basin and coming to this area. So here, if you see again, we have top sediment is giving the orthogenic signature, so there's no doubt about that. And then if you see the neodymium isotopic occupation of this core, beautifully agree, beautiful signature we can see here. During the younger dryas, the isotopic composition becoming very radiogenic, and also the small signal is seen during the HS1 and HS2. And if you compare this result with the other results of these basins in the U et al. Here, they are roughly agreeing to that. And also the other global basin record, if you can see, but this is the very strong record we are getting in the Arabian Sea during the younger dryas. So this we are interpreting in terms of significant supply of Antarctic intermediate water. So during the younger dryas period, actually it is based on the bipolar seesaw. So when the cooling means this this Antarctic intermediate water formation was significantly higher increase in the Southern Ocean, that has been penetrated. Today, if you see Antarctic intermediate water is almost remaining south of the equator in the Indian Ocean. But during younger dryas and even HS1 and HS2, the intermediate water has penetrated even up to almost 10 degree, 8 degrees north. So huge amount of North Antarctic intermediate water has been penetrated in the Indian Ocean during younger dryas, HS1 and HS2. This signature is very significant, and this has been corroborated with many other signature also. So at this point of time, I'm thankful to all the students and people who have worked in this program.